Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me on this re-recorded Hangout while editing is as for the first time, pretty much I've been let down by Google Hangouts, which started to record earlier than it told me that's recording. So sound quality wasn't great. So we're doing this and missing some pieces also. So this is about Microsoft discovering Teams. With Microsoft Teams, maybe not the most creative way of naming things, but definitely a very important event for all the Office and Microsoft productivity users out there. So far, Microsoft has done some things in the space in regards of acquiring Yammer, having capabilities there, introducing Office groups, having capability inside of Office, but it all was not enough really to fight the number one upcoming chat-based product which is out there, which is Slack, obviously, which has a share of mind of lots of people. And Microsoft decided to have to fight this with a similar product in the sense of being a standalone application, being, of course, part of Office, being free, which, of course, Slack will not like so much from overall market monetization, competition, and payment perspective. But it's a standalone product, a chat-based team collaboration product, which pulls in many of the other Office assets, which is interesting to see. But while I'm rambling, let's go to the takeaways, right? So it's a pretty viable version 1 for products. Always difficult to figure out how much has to be there. I think customers will appreciate the functionality that Microsoft put out there. It's enough for people who are looking at other products in Microsoft to say, here's a solution, Microsoft, try this first, see if this is good enough. And I think it is good enough for V1. Not everything is, of course, there, but has reached that critical tipping point for keeping, I would say, most of Microsoft Office Suite users and my customers happy. It's part of Office, as I mentioned, both in the thick client, which you can install, and in the browser-based version. It has interesting, more intuitive than Outlook integration into Skype, in the sense that you can ad hoc do synchronous meetings, both from a video and from a calling perspective, which is important for team productivity and definitely one of the higher grounds. And Microsoft has overall done a very good point of leveraging the rest of their higher assets in the Office suite by integrating into Skype, into OneNote, Planner, meetings, and of course the more important other big three, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, which can all be collaborated from a team perspective, which definitely brings a long, large, and loyal user base to it. And one other place, of course, has been created with that by Microsoft. That's not necessarily a good thing, because now people will have to say, if they're a full Microsoft job, they have to check, of course, their email and Outlook. They have to check Yammer for corporate-wide communications, and then their Teams place. So it's a V1. It will be time for Microsoft to bring all these things together, which everybody knows Microsoft can do. But I think for now, it wouldn't have been an alternative to tell all these people who say, oh, too much email, no matter what the email client is. I want to have a lightweight, chat-based, not formal way of communicating with people, to have something which is back in Outlook. So I think good move for Microsoft and for the Microsoft proponents in the enterprise to have something which runs standalone or looks at standalone running with enough integration behind the hoods to, well, have an alternative to the obviously known taking out a one-page ad in the New York Times, I believe it was, on Dear Microsoft, which obviously is Slack. So good start for Microsoft. I think good leverage of Office Suite. Very good to see Microsoft talking also about security and compliance. That's something which is expected from an enterprise vendor like Microsoft, but it's good to see that in version 1. Especially good from my other hat on the future of work perspective on the HR side, where compliance is very important. Good to see that from a compliance perspective too, which is another advantage Microsoft has with Azure, lots of data centers on the Azure side, which allow customers to make sure the data residency, privacy can be upheld. Not much detail on this. It's a V1, but it's good for Microsoft to talk about it. And overall, it was very clear that Microsoft doesn't say this is a fixed application approach. This is a toolkit, which you can configure and set up as a team collaboration hotspot, depending how your teams work, how you want to work. So I think the toolkit approach is essential if you want to have, I think it's 85+ million active Office users using the products. You can't do it with one size fits all approach. Last but not least, good to see third parties integrating into Teams. What was showcased in San Francisco was task management vendor Asana and IT still help desk vendor Zendesk. all of them having plugins into Microsoft Teams, exposing some of their content. Asana even allowing actions on the object, on the task, in the creation of task inside of Microsoft Teams. All this is a good sign because Microsoft is a platform in many aspects, but has to become a platform for team collaboration, and people have to integrate into their team's product in order to reach the performance and productivity that they really need. So overall, a good place to start. Long term, I think Microsoft has the power to bring them all together in one place, which they ultimately will have to do, in my view. But definitely something which Microsoft users out there should take note of, should take a look of, and never a hurting thing. It's free. It's part of your Office license. Definitely a way to make it harder to say no to Microsoft Teams. But go and check it out. Kudos, last mention. Rollout is immediate from availability perspective. Pretty much everybody in the world can have access to it in the beta, and the GA will be later next year. Thank you very much for watching. I hope the audio was better, looking better here, and that Google Hangouts didn't start too early on me. Thanks, appreciate it. Bye-bye.